Thank you. I'll just go through my process. I have seen it using Epro and digital dictation from the onset, from about 4 years ago. So we're a relatively small community hospital, 35 miles east of Cambridge. We've got 430 beds and 275 people, and a very, very large visiting population. We have a lot of people, we've got prisons, we've got Air Force, we've got lots of people coming in, so we have a lot of out-of-area people to cover as well. We were awarded the NHS Foundation Trust in November last year. And so basically, about 5 years ago, the Trust was given the directive to deliver discharge summaries to GP surgeries within 24 hours of the patient being discharged from the hospital. And so we used Blue Wire Technologies with their Epro clinical system. They were chosen to help us meet this target. Very quickly and very successfully, we met the objective using Epro. And now with the help of both Epro and Winscribe, we are now able to send out electronically discharge summaries to the GP within 24 hours and clinic letters within 72 hours, as the new sequence targets are requiring us to do. Plus the Epro clinical system is helping us with the other sequence that needs to be covered, and that's going to move forward from there. To start the process, we had sort of 1.3 million letters that needed to be imported because we didn't want to start from scratch. We wanted to have a system already complete with all the information. So it meant that sort of any documents that the patient had for them, they were imported. So any discharge summaries that they'd already had sitting on Epro, that was all amalgamated together. So you could go to one place and see all the information that you needed about that patient, and you didn't have to search around looking for different folders or I've lost this file, well I thought I saved it there. And so it pulls everything together and keeps it tidy. So training was a big thing. We had to make sure that we give adequate training for all the doing letters within Epro. The majority of our secretaries have been with the Trust for a very long time, and they were very wary about using electronic systems because they liked to go into Word and they could manipulate the document to how they felt it was. But by design, this isn't quite the same within Epro. So it was sort of speaking to the secretaries and, you know, going to each department and going to each secretary group and saying, you know, what do you need? And finding out what their requirements were. And then so that we can ensure that all their places was catered for. Communication and training with the secretaries were the essential part of the process to ensure that everybody understood this new system that we were putting in. And the approach on the go live was by a department at a time, so that we could get everybody in and settled, because then they can say to the next department, oh, we've just had this put in and it has worked well, or we've got this issue, or we've got that issue, as opposed to all the secretaries all having their one little bit of negativity pushed all together. It's much easier to do it in a slowly approach. Well, that's what we find at West Suffolk. You know, and the secretaries, they really appreciated the support, and they did not feel alone in the process. And sort of their understanding and acceptance to change just made it for a much easier and more successful implementation of Epro. Then, 2 years ago, it was decided we put in Winscribe digital dictation into the Trust. Thinking behind this was to reduce the time taken to create a dictation. And it being transcribed, it's now a requirement to send it to the GP within 72 hours of the clinic finishing. Not 72 hours or whenever the consultant decided to dictate, but from that clinic finishes, that 72 hours, we've got to get that information out to the GP. So Winscribe, that was rolled out in a phased approach as well. The training of consultants in a department was completed, and then the secretaries were then trained within a couple of days, thus enabling them to go out it's still fresh in everybody's mind, so there's less chance of, what did they trainer say 3 weeks ago? You know, so keep it tight, and then it just makes the process that much easier. And you know, the combined time saving has been quite extensive, making it possible to greatly reduce the number of bank staff that the Trust are now employing. It's helped remove issues where letters were being created against the wrong patient, and ensuring that the secretaries only had to go to one location to find their information. And the benefits of Winscribe for West Suffolk, you know, we have all the dictations in one area, as I've said that already, and to be managed by the secretary managers, so that if they can see that there's a clinic which has got a backlog because the secretaries are behind, they can then move the information or get other secretaries in to help to clear that backlog. So instead of sort of secretaries maybe sitting around, oh, I finished my clinic at 12 o'clock, I don't have anything to do, they can then, the leads can look and see, right, dermatology has a backlog, let's get someone else to help them. So that's why that was sort of, found it really handy to, you know, the secretary managers really appreciated that. With the Epro templates that we used to standardise the format, which is sort of things they've been talking about today, for the majority of the clinic letters being produced. Patient information is held in one location, so it's possible for all admissions and discharge and clinic appointments, both past and future, to be seen in one place by anyone who needs to see it. And it is not, oh, the note, you don't need to worry about where the notes are because we have got everything in one place. And there's a search facility, as they were talking about earlier on, and you can put a keyword in, and within 10 seconds you'll be able to pull up all the patients what had that particular issue if you want to find out. Epro sort of is very intuitive, and it means that training can be completed in a much shorter time. You know, we've set up Epro e-learning and for ward staff and read-only, and they can do their training within 20 minutes and feel quite confident at using the system. Trainers can visit doctors and consultants and secretaries either as a group or on a one-to-one, and they're usually able to complete training and be quite confident using the systems within about 45 minutes. So instead of having to spend sort of lots of time or just training people, it just makes the flow much easier. Staff can be assigned to cover sickness and leave for any other department. Because we're using clinic templates, we don't have to worry about, is this secretary going to know the process that we use in dermatology or the process we use in cardiology. So anybody can go into any department and produce a nice document that is uniform, everybody knows what it's supposed to look like, and it just much easier to work the process. We've also found in the last year, I have found, there's a lot of other departments now are coming to me, like occupational therapy, physiotherapy, speech and language, and they said, well, we've got lots of standard letters that we send out, or if a patient doesn't come in for his clinic, and we need to be able to get a letter out, you know, we've still got the same constraints. We've got to get a letter out to the GP to say, or that this patient hasn't turned up, or this is the process that's going to go ahead for the next several months. So those different departments are now coming to us, and so we're creating standard templates for them, and then they can use the auto text for the standard text. This patient didn't turn up on date, and they can put that information themselves, and it just reduces the time that it takes for the whole process. Basically, just to summarise, Epro and Winscribe are able to produce a uniform format for all our documents. In busy periods, dictations can be shared with different specialities, thus spreading the workload. Consultants can read and approve their letters in one place, and they can make their any alterations if necessary, and then they can save them and they can approve them and send them off, and so they don't have to go back and forth to the secretary. It can all be done in one place. The savings on printer consumables, because everything's now going electronically to the GP, and that has greatly changed as well, you've reduced as well. And that's my story at West Suffolk Hospital.